Well, another episode of Beyond Medicine with me, Dr. Lane Sebring, and we're going to talk a little bit about the three fundamentals, the three pillars of kind of that you work off of on your practice here at Sebring Clinic. And one of them is omega-3s, or all the omegas. I guess there's more than just the threes. Where do they come from, and what effect do they have on our health?
Well, omega-3s come from the food we eat. And if omega-3s are the most important ones, the problem is today in our diet we get too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3. If you eat wild game, you get them in about a 1-to-1 ratio or 2-to-1 ratio. If you eat grains, you get them in a 20-to-1 ratio. You get 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. If you eat grain-fed livestock, you get them in a 20-to-1 ratio.
So you're looking for more of a balance.
It's a balance thing, and people often think omega-3s are the good and omega-6s are the bad. But they've done experiments with people where with rats where they gave them a diet very high in omega-3s and very deficient in omega-6. And as they got older, what they ended up doing was tearing the tendons loose off of their bones, and their skin would begin to weep water and fluid out of them. And if we had chosen a diet many years ago that was really high in omega-3s and deficient in omega-6, we'd be saying, Grandpa, you're starting to leak, you need to go get waxed, or whatever we came up with, you know.
Yeah.
So, but 10,000 years ago in the Middle East, we added grains to the diet. We started an omega-3 deficiency. And the function of omega-3s and 6s is they should be 50% each making up the fat in our cell membranes. They're not. It's a 20-to-1 ratio, 20 times, so it's 95 to 5%. And the problem is that omega-3s are a real thin, watery oil, like a sewing machine oil. Omega-6 is a real thick, viscous oil, almost like about a 70-weight oil. And if you have those two in an equal amounts, they provide structure and fluidity to the cell membrane, allowing nutrition to get into the cells more easily and waste products out. Okay? 90% of the activity of any cell is in the cell membrane itself, and including neurotransmitters. You know, a lot of times people think they need an antidepressant because the neurotransmitters aren't working very well, but what they need often is just omega-3s. That's the reason the neurotransmitters don't work very well. So when you change the ratios of these fats, you've really changed the character of that cell membrane from one very thick and viscous to one that's much more fluid and allows the transpiring of the normal processes of the cell.
Where do we get omega-3s from, and do we need supplements to help that along?
Well, that's the problem. If we ate free-range cows and steers, and we ate free-range chickens and free-range chicken eggs, then we would get them in the proper ratio, but we grain feed the livestock, so we make them sick. And
Back to that grain thing.
That's right. If you in 3 to 6 months of giving a cow grains, you've washed out all the yellow fat and replaced it 4 to 5 times more white fat, which is very thick and waxy. You know, that omega-3s, you know, you ask yourself when you're out in the cold and why your hands get stiff in the cold is because you don't have enough omega-3. It's too much omega-6. It's a very viscous oil. If you had omega-3s, it wouldn't be stiff like that. I mean, that's a very stupid thing to be happening to a human being out in the cold trying to survive, is a stiffening up of our joints because of that. Sometimes you can't even talk because you get so cold, your lips don't move. That's one of the first things you can find. So it's really an omega-3 deficiency. So you should get it in your food, but you can supplement it as well. Health food stores, and there's a lot of really good manufacturers that make an excellent supplement. So the two major omega-3s are EPA and DHA. We shorten them to the initials because it's icosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid.
Well, I'm glad you had to say that.
So the two, we use the DHA and EPA, and what you need is about 2,000 milligrams a day of those two combined. So if you look on the bottle, you can look in there in the back and it'll have EPA and DHA, how many milligrams, either in 1 or 2 or 3 capsules. Just make sure you get enough of those, be roughly about 2,000 a day. So you can start with a lot more than that early on, and for a couple of months even do that. It's magnificent for depression, it's magnificent for diabetes. Omega-3s work like some of our prescription medicines do. That's where the pharmaceutical industry got the idea in the first place, to help us with diabetes. So it reduces inflammation. Omega-3s suppress inflammation. Omega-6s, which we have way too much of, are made into inflammatory signalers. So you can see while most of our chronic diseases, including heart disease and most cancers, are chronic inflammatory diseases. Asthma, allergies, etc., etc., you know, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, those type of things. They're all chronic inflammatory states. So the omega-3s go a long way into suppressing that inflammation and getting back the normal balance of omega-3s and 6s. It's supposed to be part of our natural diet, but you see, that's been removed. And it's not that you're supplying the body with something that seems to always help. You're supplying it with what it's designed to have, what it expects to have to be able to do its natural function, perform like it's supposed to.
So it's not some weird thing that we're taking to
Not at
do
all.
something. It's something naturally that
We used to get all the time in the diet.
uh-huh.
Everything we ate was wild not too long ago.
What tools can our viewers take hold with them about omega-3s? What would you tell them? This would be my advice.
I would advise them to start with a supplement. Get to a good reputable company. There's some of the chain stores that I think I would avoid. The nutrition industry is completely unregulated, effectively, and so you need to go to some of the better name brand products. And some of them are only sold to doctors and chiropractors and nutritionists, and you can. Some of the pharmacies have nutritionists there that sell that type of stuff, so you can. But look for the better brands. Get at least 2,000 milligrams a day. That's typically about 4 capsules a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, with a meal, without. It's not that important. Once in a while, people get a little what they call repeat, because it's fish, and you can burp fish later in the day, and nobody really wants to do that. If you put it in the refrigerator or the freezer, actually, it won't freeze, but you can take it that way, and that seems to eliminate it. Also, it's a sign your digestion's not working very well. You might need some digestive enzymes, or good bacteria for the gut is the first thing I recommend, the good acidophilus, the probiotics, etc. But I would do that pretty much for the rest of my life. And the sooner you start your kids on that, the better. It's been shown that omega-3s increase IQ of children. That's already proven. Hunter-gatherer women have between 4 and 10 times more omega-3 in their breast milk. 34% of the weight of the brain is DHA, one of the omega-3s. And when that's missing in the diet, we're in trouble. And postpartum depression is really not a Prozac deficiency, but an omega-3 deficiency, because this mom just created a brain, 34% of the weight of which is DHA, one of the omega-3s. Where did it come from? It came from mom. She gave it up. And that's where postpartum depression, it's been shown you can virtually eliminate postpartum depression, increase your child's IQ, okay,
Wow.
with omega-3 supplementation and through the pregnancy. Now, you don't have to worry about mercury. Every time this test has been done looking at multiple brands over the counter, you never find mercury in them. And the reason you don't is because omega-3 is distilled. And to concentrate, the fish oil is distilled to get the omega-3 fraction off of that. And the first thing that burns off or boils off of there is the mercury, long before. So that's gone early on. And these were studies done at reputable hospitals and universities.
So a lot of information we've covered. I suppose that if people had more questions or wanted to get some more information, they could contact the Sebring Clinic and
Absolutely.
get some more of that information.
Certainly.
You've been watching Beyond Medicine, Natural Health Empowerment. If you would like more information, contact the Sebring Clinic at 512-847-5618 or visit us on the web at sebringclinic.com.